Okay, we are 2 minutes into the session. Therefore, we will start the call now. We'll start this webinar. Therefore, I'll start with our company introduction. That is PDSVISION. Now, as you see here, that we are a platinum partner to PTC, and we have a revenue of around 100 million plus annual, and we work for around we have around 4,000 plus customers. We are platinum PTC platinum partner. We have around actually more than 400 plus employees. It is around like 440 or so, and most of our employees are technical specialists, and we operate from 13 countries. Now, what do? We provide advisory services, which is around could be around digital thread or digital twin or road mapping and so on, but all around product development and all around primarily on PTC product and ANSYS product, because we are also partnered with ANSYS. The other area is on the PLM services, which is like more end-to-end product development on the Windchill PLM platform. It could also be like integrations and migrations and upgrade and so on, apart from the consulting and implementation services. We also provide managed support services, which goes annually and multi-year. Apart from the PLM, we also provide ALM and SLM services. ALM is something which we will look at today, which will give a quick brief about what we do in the Codebeamer. And SLM is on the service lifecycle management. We also provide service lifecycle management services. And apart from it, in addition, we also do a lot of product development, which is we call it as my PDS products. What it does is like there are a lot of things which where there's a gap between what customer needs and what is provided out of the box from the Windchill platform, right? And then we will try to breach that gap through products, which we call it as my PDS. We also support AR/VR, and then we do CAD data management as well. Now, when it comes to CAD, specifically on the Creo, we also do some customization works around Creo platform. So this is what we do on the services. Now, with this quick brief introduction, before I get started, a quick introduction, one-line introduction about me. I am Amit. I am based out of Stuttgart, Germany, and I'm responsible for business development and sales globally. And I am in PTC ecosystem for around now 25 years. Now, coming to the core of this webinar, therefore, this is the agenda for today's session. We will quickly go through an overview of Codebeamer, what Codebeamer is and what it is used for, what are its core capabilities, and then we will look at these three ISO standards and how Codebeamer can help you to adhere to this standard, so that Codebeamer has templates which actually enforces you to follow these standards. That is what we'll look at very briefly. Now, the way I will do is I will try to explain some concepts on the slide, and then I will toggle and I will go to Codebeamer screen and then do a live demo of what Codebeamer can offer. Now, what you see here is a typical V model which is followed in most of the automotive companies for the product development, and the V model goes like this. Therefore, it's not just I would say that there's some companies which are still transitioning to this, because they may still have some parts which goes on waterfall model and some which goes on agile, but this V model is a very widely used framework. Now, what you see here is this, that it starts on the left arm of it. It starts with the requirement spec and so on, and the right hand side is more on the verification and validation, which we call it as a test. And the below part is the domain part, that is software, hardware, and mechanics. Now, what Codebeamer does is, and what is the role of Codebeamer in this overall process is, I cannot. Okay. What Codebeamer does is it helps you to stitch this whole flow. That is the arrow which I have just made. It helps you to stitch this whole flow and provides the capability to manage your requirements, to manage your test, and to manage your specifications, and also to some extent a source code. Depends upon how you want to manage your source code. And then it also provides capabilities around risk management, and then all the things which you manage in Codebeamer, that is requirements and tests specifically, they all are change control. Therefore, it has change control capability, and it also provides you project management capability. That is, you can run these projects on as a scrum or agile or a waterfall. So it also gives you that capability to follow. Now, what it does not do, okay, so that it's very clear, when you go in more detail into each of this domain layer, like software, hardware, and mechanical, right? You will see that there is a. Let me go to the next slide to make it very clear. You will. I'm just trying to open up a little bit, blow it up, this diagram, but I'm still keeping it only to the hardware and software. But mechanical is also part of it. It's just that, just to keep this slide simple. So what you see here is more. This is more around system engineering, where you define your system requirements, system architecture. This is about more about hardware engineering, where you define your hardware, software interface, hardware requirement, architecture, and then verification. And then is the third layer is the software engineering. You can also have another layer which is mechanical engineering. Now, what you see here is this: all these things will not be done in Codebeamer. Therefore, what it does is you do the requirements management in Codebeamer, but your architecture, system architecture, you typically will do in a different tool, which is a modeler. Like we provide, PTC provides Windchill modeler, so you can use Windchill modeler to do your sysml diagrams or UML diagrams. So those can be done outside in the tool known as Windchill modeler. And the same thing could be there in the software architecture, which will be on the UML side, but again you can have Windchill modeler. You can also, like if you're into control systems and so on, you may also be using MATLAB Simulink or some tools like that, and so on, right? And then when it comes to the source code, you can have any of this known source code version management systems. Like it could be Git, GitHub, GitLab, could be SVN, and so on. And when it comes to mechanical, you can have any Windchill, typically Windchill platform or any PLM platform. But in Windchill, you can do CAD data management, you can do ECAD data management, you can create EBOM, MBOM, and service bomb, and so on. So that is the lower part of it. And then on the right hand side is all about verification and validation. Now, what is happening in Codebeamer is it is managing your requirement, is managing your verifications here, validations here, and so on. But even though you do things outside Windchill, like the modeling, it will go and stitch it. It will go to these tools and will build a trace, like this, and go to every tool which where you are creating some product related artifacts. It goes and links them. It also goes and links to your source code, because whenever you do any source code change, if you're making a source code change, there is a reason for it. And the reason could be the reason could be that there is a requirement change, and that's why you're doing a source code change. So therefore it goes and starts linking all, whether it's a Windchill modeler here, or it is a modeler here, or it's a source code. It goes to the, whenever you check in check out your code, you give the reason why you are checking check out, you give the requirement ID, and it goes and makes a link with it. The same thing happens with Windchill. Whenever you're changing anything on a part, like suppose you're changing the geometric definition of a part, that means you're changing the CAD. Therefore, your part will get revised. If a part gets revised, it will also link to that part, because you're revising a part for a reason. And what is the reason? The requirements are driving that reason. So therefore, it goes and makes a link there as well. Then when it comes this side of the V model, that is the verification validation. If you are in a software layer, you will do a SIL, that is software integration testing. Sorry, a SIT, software in the loop testing. Then you will do hardware in the loop, and then as you move up, you will do module in the loop, and then you will do vehicle in the loop, right? Now, all these testings you typically do in a different hardware or a lab or somewhere, right? Now, you can get that link to Codebeamer, so that the test output can be linked, and then you have the complete traceability of your product development from start till the end. Therefore, Codebeamer has a bigger role to play. I again repeat this part very clearly, because it is not just an ALM tool. It should also be treated as it's an engineered born ALM tool. That means it is built to manage software in a product. It's not that if it in my laptop, if I'm trying to develop a software and I need an ALM tool, there are tools in the market which can do that, right? Where you can manage your application lifecycle management. But here, as you see, for a vehicle, which is a system of systems, it is trying to build a link from your customer requirement, market requirement, from your regulations to your system requirement, hardware requirement, software requirement, and all the system architecture designs, and the software architecture design, your source code changes. Every change, you can link to the requirement for which you're changing it. Same thing at a PLM platform level. Every change which you're doing on a mechanical side, you actually link it back to the requirement, and then the same thing is happening on the testing side. Now, by doing this linkages, the traceability, what it gives you is, at the end of the day, this requirement and whether you're able to fulfill the requirement, that is validation, it will give you the coverage of it. It will say you like, okay, what all requirements are covered, what is not covered. So it gives you that coverage. On the test side, it gives you a coverage whether everything was tested, everything was validated before you release the product out of your plant. So that is just to explain, what Codebeamer offers and how it is positioned in this V model. And this is just another picture because I did not put a mechanical trackers here or mechanical engineering part here, just to say that it's there. It is just like, means from system engineering. Suppose, yeah, I want to connect to the end item, I can connect to the end item. And what you're seeing below, I'm just showing a CAD structure, but this mechanical CAD you can also have an electrical CAD or electronic CAD, which all goes on in your engineering BOM, and then you create a manufacturing BOM and the manufacturing process, that is a digital manufacturing part of it. So therefore, this is where, this whole loop gets connected, and you can build this system of systems. Now, just to also make you all to visualize this, like suppose, like if you look at a car today, a car has, like, gone are the days, like, where everything was mechanical. If you look at, like, you have adaptive cruise control, or if you see your windows, it's a powered windows, or if you see your steering, it's a powered steering, right? In all these cases, you use software nowadays, you use microcontrollers basically. Therefore, there are like 100 ECUs in the car, and each of this ECU is nothing but a hardware, a software, and then it has to be plugged into a mechanical component within the car. So it is mechanical. What here we are doing is we are plugging the hardware, the software, and mechanical to support all these capabilities, like anti-lock braking system, or your tire pressure monitoring system, or like if you drive EV cars, you have battery management system. All these are like microcontrollers with hardware, with software, and it is plugged to a mechanical component within the vehicle. And that is where, this whole picture makes sense. And this is how how Codebeamer helps you to do this, along with the complete traceability. And because these are very safety critical devices, and I'll come to that, why it is very important to have this traceability and link all of this together. This is another picture of the same thing, that, like, there's a lot of other tools which you are going to use. It's just not Codebeamer, but Codebeamer will span across all of this, and then connect it, so that, you can achieve your end objective. End objective is all your requirements are considered, all coverage is 100%, and then, your test coverage is good, you have a traceability report, and so on. Any change which happens, you know how to do impact analysis, all that. It will enable you to do those things. Now, code capability. Now, before I go to the code capability, I will go back to the screen to show you how Codebeamer looks like. This is how Codebeamer looks like. Therefore, when you log in first time, you will be in this screen, which is just projects, and, this is a server which you're using for demo and other purposes. So therefore, this is how you see the first time. Now, suppose if you are working on a project and you're working on battery management system, okay, like in this case, in today's demo, I'm going to show you the front light management system. But you could be like working on adaptive cruise control, or like an engine control unit or transmission control unit, and so on. So you go and create a project, and in the project you select a template. Now, this is another key differentiator of Codebeamer with respect to the other tools. And why I'm highlighting it again is, it's the engineered bond tool. What it means is, it is enabling you to do a product development if you're in automotive. Same thing, if you are developing in a medical product, you choose medical template, or if you are doing a pharma product, you choose a pharma template. What has been done in this template is, the product processes, including your functional safety, cybersecurity, and other standards, are all baked into the template, so that you don't need to spend time and energy and effort to figure out whether the process is followed, whether there's a process gaps, and all this will unnecessarily take a lot of it requires a lot of non-productive efforts. It will take care of all that. It will make your productivity very high because you don't need to worry about all these gaps in the processes and so that and all the process is getting enforced because you're using a template, right? So therefore those are the advantages here. Now, once you select this template and create a project, I'm not using it and creating now, but just to show you, like once you create, it will create a project like this. Okay, and like in this case, I have selected automotive template, therefore it created a project like this. Now, it may not look like a V model, but it is a V model, and the same thing what I'm showing you here, I have just taken all these nomenclature from here, and I am just putting it into the V model shape, but exactly the same thing is listed here. Just to show you very quickly, you have a system, when you come to the product development, actually there's a phases. You start with the concept phase where you define your typical safety needs and do the functional safety concept before you try to engage a supplier and ask them to do a technical safety concept and technical safety requirements and so on, right? That is when you get into product development. And in product development, there's a product development for system engineering, hardware engineering, software engineering. And in Swift system, you see the system requirement, then system architecture, and then you get into hardware software interface. In case of hardware, you have hardware requirement, you have hardware architecture, integration and verification of hardware, and so on. Now, each of this what you're seeing, just think about, it's like a folder. Therefore you have created a project. As a project manager, you created this project, and now you have system engineers who are going to live and breathe in this area. You have hardware engineer who are going to live and breathe in this area. What they are going to do, they will be creating these work items, what you see here, like 13 out of 13, 22 out of 22. These are just numbers of work items which are inside this. Now I just take this, I want to keep this open and I want to show it in a different browser tab. So therefore now, if I go inside it, suppose if I go into a system requirement, okay, double click this, I get into system requirement. This is how you define the requirement. The same thing what you see in the screen, this used to be like typically, now also many customers, they're either using a Word document or Excel. Now what you're seeing here is each line item is a requirement on its own. So therefore this is, each one is a requirement, and each requirement has got a maturity, that is a life cycle, and so on, and I'll come to all those capability. But this is what, and the way the window is organized is, on the left hand side you see the, like a table of content of a requirement, right? And you're organizing it like chassis or suspension or transmission or electrical engine and so on. There's more to organize, but within that then you have different requirements. Like for suspension you have spring rate and wheel rate and so on. If you want to create a new one, it's very simple. Just go and click this new requirement, and then you add a requirement. Suppose I'm just adding a requirement saying system requirement 1. Okay, and you just give a description, SRS description. Okay, now I'm not going through all these capabilities because it's, we have video recordings of all this which we will share in the call itself, but you can create as rich content as possible. Therefore what you see here, like all these pictures and all that, you can add pictures, you can add attachments, and you can add many more things. So this is a requirement which is created. I can go and put it into some different place, or I can leave it here itself, so that you know that, okay, I left it here only, so that you know that this was the one which was created now, right? Now the other thing I want to show is that when you edit any of this requirement, suppose if I want to edit this, I can click this and edit, or I can also open it in a Word document and edit and synchronize. So therefore just wanted to give you an update that the content can be very rich, so therefore we don't need to worry on the content part of it. Okay, then you see the, on the right hand side there are 3 tabs here. The right tab, it shows you all the attributes, like, and these attributes you can have different types of attributes to what you want. This is like a metadata of this requirement, because you may have to, okay, for example, like this, you may like to categorize your requirement. So therefore, even though all these are system requirement, if I want to further have another lever to categorize, I can have another attribute like this, which can help me to categorize the requirement, or any other things, like you have, suppose, a risk tracker or risk work item, right, where you want to have RPN, the risk probability, severity, and occurrence, and so on, and you want to get the RPN number, you can put those attributes and you can have a computation on that. The second tab is about release. As I said that, Codebeamer also provides project management capability. You can have different releases, different sprints, and then you can assign that this requirement has to be fulfilled in this sprint or this release. Then you also have reusability across project. Now for this reusability, I again open another tab. I have also created one more project just to show reusability. So therefore, it's like this. And in this tab, I will go to another project number 3. Okay, just to show you the reusability part. Okay. So therefore now here, if you see, I don't have a project 3. Therefore, if I want to reuse from a project 3, I click here and I see all the projects and I just go and select project 3 also, so that project 3 appears here. And then I'll come to reuse, how to reuse. I'll come to that now. Okay. So this is how the Codebeamer looks like. And on the top, you see that, okay, this requirement you're seeing in a document view, which is, this is document view. You can see the same requirement in a tabular view like this, or you can see the same requirement in a tabular view, but in with edit options. Okay. Sorry, in a document view, but with edit option. And you can also see the same requirement in a Kanban board view. And then for the same requirement, you can do a test coverage and traceability. We will come to this very quickly. Therefore, I go back to the document view, and then there are other things here like, the filter and the other stuff, but all that is will be part of training and other stuff. We also have videos and all that, but I'll skip those for this webinar. Now, I just wanted to quickly walk you through some of this capability. What I just now showed you was a work item. So therefore, how to create a work item, like SRS is a one work item under system requirement spec. I again go back. You have all these different trackers. Assume it like a different folders. Each has its own life cycle, own fields, and own access control. Imagine that I'm logging as a system engineer, and I am going and updating a system requirement spec, and I double click here and I'm making the edit and I'm creating a new requirement here, which is the work item. So this is what we call it as a work item. Now reuse. For reuse, I just showed you this project number 3. Now I go to project number 3, and or what I can do is, I created this SRS1 here. I go to project number 3 and I go to system requirement here. If this is project 3, what you see here on the title on the top, this is project 3, and I go here, and from project 1, I want to borrow this new requirement which we just now created. Like I go to technical requirement spec and I see this SRS1. Now you see here there's a number. Every work item has got a number. So this has got a number, some 1000 something. I drag and drop it here. That means I want to use this requirement in my this project also. Okay, sorry, it did not got. I drag and drop it here, and it says that, okay, it is copied, and now it has got a new number. If you see, it's 10008 and this is 1007. So they're not the same thing, but it has a linkage to this because it was copied from here. So now if I go to this SRS1 here and go to the first tab here, and if you go down, it will say that this has got an association to this 7, and this was copied from here. Therefore, it remembers from which project to which project you have copied or trying to reuse. Okay. Now, if I go back to 1, I'm going back to a different project now. I'm going to 1. And suppose if I make a change here, suppose if I go and edit this and say, this requirement has to be changed. I'm just putting some text here just to show you what it means, like, the association. Now, since I've changed in the project 1, now if I go to project 3, and if I just refresh this, or I could have clicked some other tab, I will see here, if I go to this SRS1 and if I go down, it says that there is a suspect now. Why there is a suspect? Because I have changed from where it was copied, and that's why you see the suspect here, because you changed the origin. Now in case of add association, whenever there's two types of relationships. Association, it's bidirectional. You see a suspect here, and if I go to project 1 and refresh this, you will see a suspect here also, because it's an association. But when it comes to reference, there is a direction in reference. Therefore, we have a lot of relationship which is of reference type, where you can say, if only when that upstream changes, you will see the suspect on the downstream. But in this case, you will see suspect on both the sides. But just wanted to show you the concept. And whenever you get any suspect, you click it, and then it will say you what is the difference. You can say show difference. You can read through it, like it says that this requirement has to be changed. This was added. Do you want to implement it, or do you want to just ignore it and just say clear the suspect? You can do either way. So you can say apply, or you can do just say clear the suspect. And I'm just saying clear the suspect and save it. So the suspect flag will go away. Therefore, the suspect flag is gone. So this is about a reuse and about a trace. Okay. Now comes, you can export it, because many times you need to export because we still live with Word document and Excel, right? So therefore, if I go to the system requirement, this whole thing I want to export it as a Word document. Just go here, say export to Office, and say simple Word document. You can also do export to Word document round trip. That means you change the Word document and it can get updated when you import it back. And I'm going to just use out of the box template, but otherwise you can define your own template with your own logo and header, footer, and all that, and then you can use that as well. So now I'm just saying export, and the export has started. It has got some images and all that. It will take just few seconds, but once the export is done, it will give me this notification that export is done. And then when I click here, it gets downloaded, and when I open it, this is how it looks like. Now, why I'm showing you this is that because this is very common thing which you will be doing, and also you will do reverse also. You will import such type of document into Codebeamer back. So therefore, it gives you all the details, not only the description, the title, but it also gives you the references, what are the revision level of this, and so on. You can also, if you want to have some comments and all that, also export it. You can also export that. So this is on export. If you want to import, you just hit import. Again, you have the similar type of option. You can import from a Word document, Excel, project. Now, in case of import, it will ask you to do some mapping, okay? Because it will not know what to map to what. Therefore, it will give you a proposal how to map also. So that is on the import export. Again, these are all like heavy topic, one session on its own. Therefore, I'm just trying to show you the overview of the capabilities. Then Jira integration. Why I'm saying Jira integration is because I'm on a screen where you can have a Jira integration. I don't have a Jira integration in this project. Therefore, it is all project specific. You can say this project connects to this Jira, and and then this sub items or this project in the Jira, and so on. Because I have used another account to just do it, just to show you this. Therefore, I just go to another project here and quickly show you this part. Therefore, suppose here, okay, go to this project, and suppose I go to just trackers, and suppose for bugs, like if I want to manage my bugs or some things in a Jira tool, I can do like this. I can just select and say hit Jira and synchronize with Jira. When you click this, it opens up this screen, but the setting is as simple as this. It's all out of the box. And why I'm trying to show you is, again, as I said, that it's a tool which connects everything irrespective where it is managed. So right now, suppose in this case, if I'm managing my bug outside Codebeamer, still I can make a trace to that. So what you're seeing here is this, that I have a Jira server, and it says that this is the project which I've selected. I just click this. There are other projects. I selected this project, and I'm saying that I want to trace with a bug which is residing in Jira. You can also create a trace with task or epic or story or user stories and so on. And then you can also do a mapping here, because in Jira the status will be different. Here the states are different and so on. You have to do some mapping so that it gets synchronized bi-directionally. You can also specify, do you want bi-directional or do you want, means which way, unidirectional and so on. You can also say how often you want to synchronize. You can synchronize every 10 minutes, every 1 hour, or you can do a manual synchronization. So all this is possible. I can just hit this and as a manual synchronization, and I can manually synchronize. Also, what it does is when you synchronize with Jira, it also gets the item here. But suppose this bug was created in Jira. Therefore, if I go here, if I go inside it, you will see the Jira ID here. And then when I click here, I go to the Jira application. So this is how it works. And then I go to the Jira application directly, and then within the Jira application, I will have the Codebeamer link as well. So this is how both the sites gets linked. Okay. So this was a quick update on one of the integration. Generally, integration itself is a topic on its own. Again, all these are big topics on its own to discuss, to go deeper. But just to give a quick brief about all these capabilities. Baseline. You can baseline all these work items for a system requirement, or for all this hardware requirement. I have three work items. I can just baseline this, or at any toll gate or any you have NPI process or NPD process, right? At any of this gate, I want to completely take a baseline of my complete project. You have all these options. How it is done? I go back to this project again, project one, and then I can decide, like, suppose system requirement. I can just double click the system requirement, and I can say I want to go for a baseline, and I click this, and as simple as this, I just create a baseline, and I say baseline, and I call it as a April 2024. Okay, we also provide this the signature. That means you have to sign off to create a baseline. Okay, but I'm just ignoring it right now. Therefore, I just created a baseline saying April 2024. Now what happens is, suppose for some reason if I delete this, or if I go and create a new one, suppose I go and create SRS and the requirement 2 and save it. Now, just to, and then now if I go to baseline again, and I say I want to revert back to this baseline. Now this is my head revision, is my current revision, but I want to go back to my this baseline which was created a few minutes back, a few seconds back. When I click this, I will not see the SRS2 because I am now seeing a baseline view. Okay, it's my internet, I hope so, but anyway, it has come now. Now I see SRS1 here, I don't see SRS2 here. Now if you see here, it says that you are into baseline view. Now I can again revert back to my default view, and come out of this baseline view. So once I do this, I will see my SRS2 also, which is the latest version of my all the system requirements. Okay, then sorry, I can go here. I can just click here, as simple as this. Okay, so now I see SRS2 here. So that's the concept of baseline. So I did it at a requirement level, at only at a system requirement level, but you can also do it at a project level. Therefore, this is for the project level. If I click this and create a baseline, this baseline was a tracker level. As you see here, it says tracker, but I can also create a baseline at a project level where the complete project, that means all the work item of system engineering, hardware engineering, software engineering, complete snapshot of today I can create, and that is the baseline of this. Okay, then comes, okay, just saw a message. I hope I am still audible. Then the next thing comes up is about branch. You can also create a branch. Branch is, in the sense, is this, that suppose if I go to this, suppose let me go to this project and show you this branch. Suppose in this project, for system requirements, again spec. Okay, I have this system requirements, and I have already created a branch known as EU variant. What it means is I have chassis, I have suspension, and all these requirements, right? And all these are my main requirements. Now what I want to switch over is to a EU variant. So therefore, for same requirement, I can have a branch also. Therefore, all the requirements are still the same. But if I go here, if you see this requirement, this is plastic structure for EU market. Now, if I just switch over and go to default, the same requirement, but I've changed. But if I go here, chassis, it says carbon fiber plastic structures, because I changed, I made it some changes on my EU variant. Now, what I can do is I can come here and I can change it. Okay, I say that, I can write a line here. Please create uh, different requirements for different country, okay, like this. Okay, and then save it. Now what will happen is, now if I go back to my EU variant, it will have a notification now, because I have made a change to my trunk or to my main branch. It says that the main requirement was updated. Do you want to look at it, review it, and synchronize it? And then I can do this, the same thing, and I can independently edit this. The other thing is, whenever you're creating a variant, each variant can have its own attribute. Here you have an attribute known as EU country. For the same requirement, If I go to the main requirement, main trunk requirement, I will not have this attribute. Therefore, the branches can also have different data model. Okay, so this is a quick, it supports branching. Review hub, I can go to any of this tracker, like, any of this tracker, click here and send it to review. Review hub is like, I can select this whole thing, like imagine like this is 100 requirements. I can select the all and give it for review through a review hub. Or every requirement has got a process flow. If you see here, it says that in the currently it is in the state new, and from new it can go to define or approve. So therefore I can say that, okay, define. The moment I select define, it triggers the workflow from new to define, and whoever is required to approve, they have to approve, and then it becomes defined. So that's another workflow to do the review and approval process. Then comes test data management. For test data management, just wanted to show you that you, for any requirement, you create a test case, and then you create a test run for it, and then you execute. If it fails, you create a bug. If it passes, you can look at your test report. Or you can combine many test cases into one, saying test set, and then do it. I'm not showing it here, but I have some test cases just to show you the coverage part of it. Then comes sorry, let me go back here. Then comes test coverage. Okay, so for test coverage, let me just show you the test case logic. Therefore, if I go to back to this project, and if I go back to my trackers, there is something that's hardware and one of the tracker. Let me go to system requirements and go to test coverage, or yeah, test coverage, and see what test coverage I have, and say load in this. Okay, I don't have anything here. I remember having it. See here, or I'll show you what are the test cases. Here I don't have much, but I have it for one of them. I think I have it for hardware. This one probably hardware requirement spec. Hardware. Check this. I want to show where you have some data so that it not here as well. But my whole point is you can create you can check for, like, means what test cases you have, and for each test case it will show you a report, like, okay, you in, like in this case, like hardware requirement, I have only one requirement, it is not covered. But if you have some requirements where there's a lot of test cases, like, let me try this ones. Suppose here, if I go and sit, what happens is, like, for each of this requirement, if I go here, it will show me there's no downstream, that means there's no test cases. Here also there's no test cases, there's no downstream, therefore you will not have it for this as well. But you will see a test coverage will show you like what tests are passed, what tests are failed, and whether there is a test created also or not. So that is where you do the test coverage. Then comes report and dashboard. Okay, and then source code. Therefore, like, quickly let me do it. I'm a little bit running late, but okay, when you go to the report, you can create, is as if the whole database is in front of you, and you can just select a project. Suppose in this case I select this project one, which we are doing a demo now, and suppose you are talking about system requirement. Therefore you can just say I am looking at a system requirement spec, system requirement specification, and you can just hit OK. Then you will get all the requirement. Now you say that, okay, I want to group by status. So therefore what you do is you pick the status and drag and drop and say group it by. Now since you have only one status, it may not match saying, it just says status new, and all 24 are in this, but, and the grand 24. But if suppose if I had one of them as obsolete or something, then you would have seen some graph here. Okay, so what you do is, once you create this report, you can just save, and you can give a name. Suppose I give a demo report uh, for webinar. Okay, webinar. Okay, and I just say save. Now once I've created this report like this, I can go to my project, like I can go back to my project, go back to the wiki page of it, and I can have multiple pages, lot of write-ups about this project, and I can have a dashboard also. And in the dashboard I can say that I want to add my report, or I add some report here. You get out of the box lot of widgets. Either you can use all these things like burnout chart, burn up chart, and all that, or you can just use your own chart. Like in this case, I created a report, right? Therefore I just remove this, and sorry, I remove this and say go here, and I go and say demo report for webinar, and I say set this. Now in this case, since I have 24 items and all are new, it just comes like this, and just say hit save. I'm just showing you like how easy it is to create, but you can add a lot of other widgets, and then you can see all of the statistics and activities of a project in this window itself. So that is a capability on the dashboard. Source code management. Every project can have a source code management. Now in this SCM, you can create a new repository. You can use your existing Git or existing SVN or existing Mercurial system or anything which you're using for source code management. Or you can also configure an internal one. That means internally also Codebeamer provides you to manage a source code. If you do this, every check-in and check-out, you can start linking with your requirement. So that is the advantage of it. I can again, quickly show you in one of the projects. Suppose in this project, what you can do is, like for example, a task. Whenever I have any task, I create a task for somebody to check in a code. Like for example, here if I go to this checking of the code, and if I go to the source code commits, I can see every time when I'm checking out, checking in, I can see the comments, and I can see what it has done. And then I can also go to the source code repository, and I can look at the files which are inside it. Like for example, this is all demo, but I can look at the files, I can look at what are the code inside it, and all the changes which has happened, the log which has happened, and so on. So that is on the source code management. Now I just quickly move on data model and this stuff. So therefore this is administrative part. So therefore very quickly, if I go to this project, you will be thinking like what happens like if I don't want these trackers and I want a new tracker. For anything you can do a configuration. Therefore first thing is data model. If I go here, this is the data model which you're getting out of the box, and this data model is good enough to fulfill all of your needs, because you can imagine the number of traces which is already built in, but you may like to add some new tracker and build some new traces, right? In order to do that, what you do is you log in as an admin. Okay, so suppose like for example, I want to create a new tracker. So if you just click here and you can create a new tracker, as simple as this. Creating a new tracker. But suppose if you want to change an existing tracker like system requirement spec tracker, I want to change it, you can click here, configure. Now in this configure, you can change the metadata, you can create permission set, who can access, who can do what in this tracker, that is in system requirements. What attributes a system requirement should have, what fields it should have, you can define that. What is the workflow for every tracker? There's a workflow, you can change this workflow, you can add the guardrails so that you can do some validation before this tracker is done, then fields and escalations and so on. Basically what I wanted to show was these things which has been built for you to get started on day one. It is not a static, you can still evolve it further. And like for example, you see here it's hardware and software, right? What we have done is, like for example, for some customers, they want the mechanical part also, right? So therefore we added mechanical also. Like for example, if I go here and go to another project, I'll just show you, like you have all these new trackers. Therefore in some cases the customer also wants requirements and customer requirements, market needs, and other things to be added. We add those trackers. Therefore this template can be tailored as per your need, and it is as simple as just click config and configure the template the way you want. So this is on these capabilities, and all these are like same like workflows and all that. This all can be edited. Then comes I will now directly jump on to the compliance side. Functional safety. Okay, the functional safety is very critical because you are now going to rely on the software. You are driving a car and your adaptive cruise control is working based on a software. If and the software upgrades can happen while you are running a car, right? So therefore suppose while you're driving, you upgrade the anti-lock braking system software, right? If it doesn't work properly, the upgraded version, like in case of Microsoft Office, if it doesn't work, it's still fine, your laptop has just crashed, right? But in the car you cannot afford to do this, right? And that is where the functional safety is very, very critical, very, very important. And for this, the ISO 26262 is the one which defines what all should be done to ensure that your SIL level is within the limit, right? Like you are like at SIL level 3 or SIL level 2. Now, the way it works is this, that what you see here is in Codebeamer, this whole concept phase and the product development phase and even the production and operations, all these are already implemented, or it is to a large extent, it is already baked into the template. There are some cases where customers also asked for this. What happens if my car is already out of the manufacturing plant, and then you have issues, right? How can I bring those issues into Codebeamer so that I can trace it for changes or for bugs and so on? You can do it, but then it typically will be through IoT or some other mechanism through which you will give a feed and you can bring it back into Codebeamer. And that, as you see here, in the template itself, like if I go back here, you already have the concept phase, the product development, and you also have this the support trackers. And this is where you can pull the information from the running equipment and get the data into Codebeamer so that you still have a traceability of not only the complete product, but the complete product till it is till it is still there in the market. And that is each instance of the product, right? So this is all into the system. Now, in order to do this ISO 26262, and typically it is for electrical electronics, applicable only for electrical electronics. What to do is you define an item, you do the HARA analysis, that is hazard analysis, and then you define the safety goals, then you define the functional safety concept, and typically this is what the OEM does, and then you hand it over to the suppliers to take it forward from the technical safety concept, and then they can decompose and they can extend, and then they can do the further requirement and do the product development part of it. Now this whole thing is modeled in Codebeamer like this, like you have item definition, you have HARA, you have safety goals, you have functional safety concept, and so on. What picture I have shown here, the same data model is implemented here. Now if I go to HARA and if I show you a traceability, like this is what the HARA looks like. You do ASIL determination at the end of the day. Like once HARA is done, you give a ASIL number to the item which you have identified. It could be like ASIL A, B, C, D. Now in this case, it is like this. Now the good part is you don't need to worry too much or do any setup or do any non-productive work here. If you go here, as you see here, exposure controllability is severity. If I change my exposure, suppose if I change the exposure to like E4, my ACL may change. Okay, see it becomes D and so on. So therefore, all these computations are all in place. That's what I meant by when I say it's all templatized, right? You don't need to do this. And if suppose in case you doing ACL determination outside the tool, like you're doing in ANSYS Medini, you can still build the traceability with Codebeamer and ANSYS Medini so that traceability is not lost. Okay. Now, if I want to see this HARA as a traceability report, I can go to this traceability report. I can, like for example, I've already created this report. You can see it that this is my item, this is the HARA, and these are the attributes of HARA, and these are the safety goals, and then these are the functional safety requirements, and then these are the technical safety concept. It keeps building you the whole metrics, and then these metrics can be exported. If I want to edit and change, suppose I want more details, I want like for item, I also want to have item status. I can just click this and say add status to this report, and status will get added. And then I just say here, now go. And now if you see here, now for item, I have also added the status, and then the HARA is there. I already have the severity, exposure, controllability, ASIL, and then for safety goals, the fault tolerance, the safe state, and all these attributes. Therefore, all these are well defined in the template itself, and it's like ready to use and get started. So this is on functional safety. Then comes, yeah, I just explained this, that means once you give it to the suppliers, they will take the functional safety concept, they will decompose or elicitate it to technical safety concept, and then they will define their own system. They will do the system design, hardware design, software design, integration. They will do for each module. Then they will do the module integration testing, and then the vehicle testing. Okay. Then comes cybersecurity. Similar way, you have ISO 21434, and in 2134, if you see here, this is the part which is TARA, and this is completely modeled into the template. That means for every item you identify what is the asset which you want to protect, and then for that asset you do a damage analysis, damage scenario and threat scenario, through which you get impact rating, and through the threat analysis you get the attack feasibility rating, and then based on that you define the TARA. I'll quickly show you the data model. You identify the item, you identify what is to be protected, and this is the conventional path, right? That means you check what is compromised in your item, like is it confidentiality, integrity, availability, and based on that you do the impact rating. That is safety impacted, financial impact is there, or operational impact is there, or privacy impact is there. The another path is this, which is the hacker path, that is a negative testing. What you do is you try to also understand the threat scenarios and the attack path, and then you do the attack feasibility rating there. Like what expertise is required from the attacker and so on, right? Based on these two inputs you do your risk assessment, which is TARA, and then from TARA you can define your safety goals, and then safety specifications, and then you get into the product development. Now again, I just have 1 more minute, and then I have 5 minutes left for questions and answers. Just to quickly show you on the system, if I go to this project, and if I go to this project, and then I can go to the trackers. As I said, item definition is the first thing which where you define the scope. It could be a component, or it could be system, or it could be system of system, and then you define your TARA, and basically you define your asset. You define a damage scenario, which is the conventional one. You define the threat scenario, which is more from negative scenarios, and then you do the attack path feasibility rating and so on. So this is where you do the TARA part of it. If I would just want to show you that, suppose if I go to damage scenario, you can see it here, that it has got all this confidentiality, availability, and yeah, the key ones which is required for, sorry, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, which you always monitor from a security perspective. You have safety impact, you have financial impact, you have operational impact, you have privacy impact. These are all attributes are pre-built. It's a better way to see it like this. Like suppose if I go here, you can see all these attributes very well defined here. And then the same way, if I go to suppose the threat scenario, then you will see, sorry, not threat scenario, if I go back to your attack path, you will see the attack path feasibility rating, all these attributes here. Therefore, if I go to the document view, you will see all this is well defined for each things, like what is elapsed time, what is the specialist expertise, and so on. So with this you do the attack feasibility rating. Now I have 6 minutes left to look at the questions and answer it. So therefore I stop the sharing, and then I pick up the questions. Okay, will these slides be shared? Answer is we do not share the slides or do not share the deck, but the link to the recording will be shared. The link to the recording will be available within 24 hours, and the webinar recording will be available on our website after a few days. Therefore, you can also look at our website, and you can see that there will be webinar on demand section, and then you can play this recorded version. Then the next is where are the customer requirements, the market needs, and regulatory requirements managed? They can also be created. We have to create those trackers and a custom tracker, and you can manage it in your project. Therefore, what you have to do is you have to take the automotive template and tailor it. Therefore, we do those services. We can support you to do those services, those tailoring. Is Codebeamer applicable only for software and hardware? No. Codebeamer, the word may sound so, but it is not meant only for software and hardware. It is also for the complete product, mecha softronic product. So therefore, it's not just limited to software and hardware. But your ISO 26262 is typically only for the electrical and electronic systems. That is, the embedded softwares. It's not meant for, like, suppose if you have some risk which is because of a heating in the car, which is nothing to do with the BMS or any of these electronic systems. then that's not covered in ISO 26262 in a simple language. Um, how can we maintain traceability of the issues post production or during production? You can also create trackers for manufacturing. You can create trackers for sales. You can create trackers for um, uh, support, which you also saw, and you can manage your requirements or manage your requirements in those trackers. Therefore, what we saw was more from concept and product development, and what is typically uh, is shown in the ISO standard, but it doesn't stop you to create more stuff onto it. You can tailor it, and you can create more categories, or you can use the same category and have some attribute to classify your requirement. There are a lot of possibilities, a lot of options available there. There's no more questions, but we still have 2 or 3 more minutes. I can just show you one quick thing about where you can find more information. You all will be seeing my screen. Therefore, if you go to PDS Vision website, if you go to learn, and then if you go to webinar, and if you change the technology to ALM, or I thought there's a, or you go here on learn, and then knowledge. Okay, go to knowledge, and then in the product, if you select Codebeamer, you will see some stuff there. Okay, all these, you can go through it. You can click and watch the video. This will give you in depth about cybersecurity. This will give you, like, how ALM and PLM are connected. This will give you, like, about 26262, like how Codebeamer helps you to adhere 26262. These are a little bit of a deeper dive videos, and but at the same time, we have kept it very short. We have kept it like 20 to 30 minutes, so that it's not too lengthy as well. But these would be the good videos to look at. You also have videos about how do you manage requirements. You can also look at this, and so on. So this is one area where you can go. Like, as I repeat here, I can also put in the chat so that you all have it. You can also see it in the chat. And the other one would be about the YouTube. Therefore, if you go to youtube.com, and just go to youtube.com, and then in YouTube, search for PDSVISION. Now, when you look at PDSVISION, we have lot of playlists and lot of videos on lot of topics on PLM, ALM, SLM. Okay. Now you can either just put a search here and search for ALM, or what you can do is, and you get this Codebeamer ALM, and you can run through all these videos. There are series of videos which will give you a lot of insight into it. Or if you are looking for PLM, just search for whatever topic you need. As long as it is in the PTC platform, you will definitely find some good material to go through. So with this, I am done. But before I'm done, I just put the stuff on the chat so that you all can pick the link. I don't see any more questions there, but we are done. But if you have any last questions, you can put it and we can answer it. The time is, we are exactly 1 hour past now. Therefore, we will close the call. Thank you all for joining. And as I said, the recording will be available. Therefore, just look at the pds.com website. If you feel that it's something you missed and you want to replay. Thank you.